Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. I'm excited for you to be here. Thank you for taking some time. My name is Sean Mathis. Listen, if you've made it to this page, then chances are you're an insurance agent and you're frustrated. You're spending too much money. You are not profitable enough. Your margins are shrinking. You need more staff. You need to sell more. You need to increase your quote activity. You're getting bad leads. Bottom line is you need to grow. Okay, and in this four-part series, I'm going to have a conversation that's deeply rooted in reality, in facts. Okay, no, there's no fancy production going on. I just want to, have the conversation that I feel like is being avoided in the industry, and I feel like has really gotten lost within the insurance world. And it all kind of started in the early 2000s with the internet lead. You see, the problems that you're facing right now is as companies' margins are shrinking, and it doesn't matter whether you're independent or you're captive, particularly in the captive world, it's felt quicker. But companies' margins are shrinking. They're expecting more out of you. They need more business growth. They've got so many agents that have built their book and who have been coasting for years, riding on their renewal trains, which ultimately is why a lot of people get into the business in the first place, is to work hard, build a book, and have a renewal so you can have a great lifestyle and you can spend time with your family. The unfortunate part of that is that when your companies make bad decisions or the industry shifts, they put you back to work. And see, as an independent agent, you still are held accountable by the carriers which appoint you. And they have expectations and their margins are shrinking. So this isn't limited to just captive agents. And ultimately, you may or may not be in this situation, but many of you continuing down the path that you're on right now will lose your contract. I've got a book called The Insurance Marketing Blueprint. And in the opening introduction, one of the things that I say, and I really stand behind this, I think that people that have been in the business between 10 and 15 years are at a particular disadvantage. And reason being is that you started, and when you started this business, you were able to grow relatively easy. Whether you used grassroots or you used internet leads, but you were able to grow. It was easier to find talent. It was easier to get good salespeople that would stick around. And things have rapidly changed. And you're at a crossroads right now. And you might have been comfortable, maybe $1 million, $3 million, $5 million book, $6 million book, and you might have been comfortable with where you're at in sustaining that. The problem is you cannot continue to sustain because now the companies want you to get up, get out, and produce. And if you don't, then they let you go. They take your book. They are so excited to get rid of some of these legacy agents with massive contracts and massive books because it's costing them a fortune. They're waiting for you to make a mistake. They're waiting for you to miss your production mark. And we see it happening at companies all over the country. We see companies restructuring compensation plans, pulling back renewals. If you're a captive agent, I talk to captive agents all the time, and they think the answer is going independent, and I can tell you it's not. Independents have an extraordinary uphill battle with lack of branding, lack of the ability to market on such a massive scale. You see, at least at a captive company, you at least have brand awareness and you've got your company out there spending for you. When's the last time you've seen a Travelers or an Amica commercial, right? Or a Safeco commercial? You don't see it. So independent agents are out there all on their own. And that's a whole nother segment and a whole nother conversation. But nonetheless, this conversation right now is about about agents who need to grow their business, and you're frustrated. You see, here's the facts. You have to look at supply and demand. You have to look at how we got here as an industry. All right. You can't ignore facts. You can't ignore data. As a marketing guy, I'm very data driven. And I do a lot of market research and keep my hand on the pulse of what's going on with consumer behavior, the insurance industry, the marketing industry, and the like. And if we look at how we got here, we had the internet boom in the 90s and early 2000s, and then you see the surfacing of these internet lead providers. And it's the first time for an agent to work outside of their natural market and get business. You see, prior to the internet lead, you had a few options: chamber meetings, networking meetings. You go and meet people, ask for referrals, door knock, cold call, send mail. Then this internet lead thing came. Man, it changed the game, didn't it? It allowed us to reach as many people as we wanted, as many people as we could afford. And here's what happened with that is agents stopped looking for stellar talent. You didn't need to find a hunter. You didn't need to find a great salesman. You just needed somebody who could answer that live transfer, or who could answer and call that person who was shopping online for a quote. You see, the hardest part of any business is finding the business to write in the first place. And the internet lead changed the game for us. Now we could just throw a few $1,000, get a couple hundred prospects that were actually interested, because before that, you cold call, you'd have to dial 100 people to get 2 to answer the phone and 1 of them to hang up on you. Right? So it's a colossal waste of time. So this really shrunk the amount of time that it took to grow an agency. What once took decades could now happen in months. What once took years could happen in weeks. What took months could happen in days. And then what happened is companies saw this growth, this inflated growth, by the way, and they ended up hiring massive agency forces, influx of agents, giving out deals and contracts to agents that should never have gotten them in the first place. You see companies offering compensation models for startups that are just absolutely ridiculous and don't make any financial sense whatsoever, and we could all see it. You see companies offering 30 and 40% on P&C business for the first 3 years. And then we see agents gaming that system because they go and spend tens of thousands of dollars on marketing to max out these commissions, which are inflated commissions, by the way. They're not reality, nor is their marketing spend. And we see them spending bad marketing dollars, making bad marketing decisions, getting bad customers in the door, which ultimately affects the rates of everybody across the board, right? And then we end up seeing those people churn out. So then that agent has to spend more. And then this cycle just continues to go and go and go. And even if you're on the sidelines and you're doing it the right way, this is affecting you. So this internet lead has affected every single agent across the country, whether you played the game or you didn't play the game. Right? And then we see companies contracting, saying, shit, now we've got to do something different. Let's restructure these contracts. Let's take away some of these bonuses. Let's take away some renewals and mask that with, but we're going to service your book. Let's take away commissions, but incentivize new business production, so that way people aren't sitting around doing nothing, because we have to get the new business flowing. And all of it is done on an inflated demand for insurance when it actually wasn't there. It was just an exposure of an opportunity of shifting market share, but it is now able to happen rapidly. Right now, consumers start to get in the driver's seat. Right. So, I think what's happened here over the last, 20 years is agents have lost sight of reality. Technology has caused us to lose sight of reality, of what it really takes to be a successful insurance agent in this industry, in this market. It's led to us being lazy, lackadaisical. We don't prospect. We don't hire good salespeople. We expect the business to just come pouring in. We expect if we get a certain location, we're going to get some foot traffic. I can promise you, on a sunny Saturday afternoon, no one's strolling into your office to talk about insurance. We've lost sight of the fact that, our own industry has commoditized what we do. Over the last 20 years, every carrier has talked about nothing but savings. And then we wonder why consumers are conditioned to come in and want to save. And then agents are selling price. Can't figure out why the leads that they want only want price. Losing sight of reality of the leads that you're getting in the first place not taking into account how they might have been generated on price, right? And so we've been in such a reactive mode over the last several years. Many of you have been playing this internet game. Some of you guys that I talk to are spending $10, $11, $12, $15,000 a month, hoping to break even. Then on the other end of the spectrum, we have agents spending nothing, no marketing dollars. What's your marketing budget? A few $100. I've been burned in the past, so I'm willing to put my foot in the water with a few $100. But then your goal is to go from 15 items to 60 items. We have unreasonable expectations. And I think that stems and is rooted from the fact that we haven't yet slowed down enough to take a look at the market and survey the industry, where we're at as an industry, where you're at as a business. Is your team the right team? Do you have the salespeople in place that you need to have? You know, you stopped evaluating the source of your leads and you just bounced from provider to provider to provider. You've lost sight of anything that's big picture or long term. 99% of agents that I talk to are coming to me for a short-term fix. This Band-Aid that you've been using for the last 20 years called the internet lead is not going to build your business long-term success. It's not going to sustain you over the long term. The responsiveness of these leads has continued to diminish year after year after year. The quality has continued to diminish. And I think a lot of us don't even take time to understand how these leads are generated and really look at the lead industry. When I was an insurance agent, I didn't. I took these guys at face value. Now on the other side of the table, seeing this industry, it is grimy. There's 221 million Americans insured. Only 6% of them a year, only 3% of them a year are entering in the marketplace. 3 to 4. Sometimes it's lower too. So you're talking about 6% of people, 6 million people entering in the marketplace for insurance, actually enter real time. What you're buying from these internet lead providers is washed up data. Somebody who requested a quote a year ago, 6 months ago, a month ago. Today, aggregators have their own agencies. They sell the lead first, or they have a contract with a big company like Liberty Mutual who pays them an enormous amount of money, or Allstate who pays them an enormous amount of money for that lead on the spot. They put their information in, they get a quote instantly. Then they get paid from that provider because they got that quote at corporate. Now they start retailing it out to the small agents, but these are sold at corporate levels long before they get to you. By the time it's gotten to the first agent, it's been sold 5 or 6 times. And then that lead is going to get sold another 9 to 12 times each time it goes out. So these leads have been hit by 50, 60, 70 agents. Then it gets sold as data for 15, 20 cents as an aged internet lead to an unlimited number of people. That's why a lot of the information you get is bad. It's how you call somebody who's been deceased for 3 years. None of it is in real time. All of the real-time stuff is sold long before you, and I promise as an individual agent, you cannot afford to pay an aggregator for a real-time lead. You can't match these corporate contracts. I know because I have one. I know how this business works. I think you forget to look at the industry and how technology is really reshaping the entire industry. This is so much bigger than just, I need a few policies a month. You see, the industry is moving away from the traditional agency model. Right here in Dallas, I can see out my window a massive Liberty Mutual Corporate Center. Just behind me over here, a couple miles, a massive regional State Farm headquarters. Companies are consolidating all of these regional service centers that they've had into massive conglomerates. Guess what's on each of those? Big, massive, hundreds and hundreds of people call centers selling policies. Corporate selling policies, making agents service them, giving them app count, but no commission for a year, throwing service work on you, and then saying, hey, go sell more business. You look at the marketing strategies, corporates coming in behind you, mailing your prospects. They're taking pinned quotes, they're stealing traffic from your websites. You're competing with your own company. Like it or not, that's the reality of it. You see, in 2012, as I begin to see this shift, I begin to see what was really happening. I remember a conversation sitting down with my corporate, my manager, saying, look at this, man. I'm competing with my own company. How do I compete with a $38 billion company? We're supposed to be on the same team. What is this? What is this? Right? So you have a choice to either conform and adapt to what's really going on and see things for how they really are, understand it, and play the game. But play it with intention. You can't just throw shit against the wall anymore and expect it to stick and hope it sticks, hope to break even. I hope I spend $1,000 and then I make $1,000. It doesn't work like that. You have to be thinking about big pictures, long-term success. If you've been in the business 10 to 15 years, you've either got to totally revamp everything that you've thought about marketing and lead generation and how to grow your agency and get with it today and start aggressively growing, or sell your book right now. Because right now you've probably got something that's worth buying, but the longer you wait and the longer you continue to do either more of the same or nothing at all, the less your book will be worth. It'll eventually dwindle away to nothing because your pride and ego will get in the way of you actually selling it now. And you'll let it get worth nothing. And then you'll not only have struggled your way for the next 5 years, but then ultimately sell your book for pennies on the dollar. If you have a book that's sellable at all, if you even last that long. Or you can get with it and you've still got plenty of time to adapt and have a massive, massive career ahead of you. Because I promise you, it's not doom and gloom, guys. I don't want it to sound like that, because trust me, we've got agents traveling every year, agents that are absolutely killing it, agents that have doubled their income, doubled their production, tripled their production. We've got agents that are writing, $8,000, $9,000, and $10,000 households all day long. This isn't about get out of the insurance industry, it's doom and gloom. This is about the industry has changed and you have to be real about that change. You have to be willing to see it for what it is. Before you spend another marketing dollar, you need to really seriously think about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. I had a guy call me the other day and said, hey, I need two or three autos by the end of this month, or I'm at risk of losing my contract. Hey, buddy, I'm not that guy. That you come to me with something that clearly started years ago, and you're just now getting to the place that I got to do something because I'm about to lose my contract. That's crazy. You got to get ahead of the game. Like I said, some of you may not be in a situation where you're financially in a hard place, but you are also here because you're bright enough to see that if you continue down this $10,000, $12,000, $8,000 a month game that you're playing, you're going to slowly and financially bleed. You're one mistake away from catastrophe. You're one industry shift away from catastrophe. If you can't turn off your marketing right now today, your leads, not your marketing, but your leads, if you can't turn off your leads and continue your production, then you're in trouble. You see, most of us have a sales cycle that looks something like this. And I say us, I don't sell insurance anymore, but I still identify as an insurance agent. Most of you have a sales process that looks like this. You buy a lead, you call it, you leave a message. If you're aggressive, you might call them again. You might call them for a week, every day, maybe 2. If you don't reach them, you try to get a refund, you call it a bad lead, you throw it in a pile, you X date it, which rarely will you ever call on an X date. But if you get in a pinch somewhere down the road, you got a stack of papers or you got a database somewhere that you'll start dialing on. and you'll hope to catch somebody. And since that person didn't answer, you buy another one. And you keep doing that. All the while, you've got all of this database and all of these customers that you're not following up with on a consistent basis. You fail to understand that insurance is all about timing. If you look at how corporates play in the game, what are they doing? They're playing consistency. You don't see Geico or Progressive or Allstate or State Farm pausing their ads, pausing their marketing. No. Why? Because insurance is all about timing. You've forgotten to take a step back and look at your customer. Who is it that you're actually trying to sell insurance to? And then match that with your lead provider. Does this lead provider generate this type of customer? Do these things match? You're not doing that. You're just buying leads, hoping these two, you're trying to fit the square peg into the round hole and wondering why it's not fitting. You've got to take a step back and look at the marketing that you're doing. Is that going to attract the customer that you're looking for? Are you working with a company that's going to refine the process to get you the customer that your underwriter needs? You can't just bounce from thing to thing, 100 here, 1,000 here, 100 here, a few hundred there, hoping to find the match. Why don't you do some due diligence up front and have a conversation with somebody? Oh, that's right. They won't have one with you. Why? Because they know they don't fit. They know because there's only 6 million real-time shoppers a year. The odds of you actually finding one of those is slim to none. So when you find a company, like which ours, by the way, does, who can provide a truly exclusive real-time lead, you've got to stick with that thing. You've got to work that process and refine it, because that, my friend, is a gem. That is rare. That is rare. So you need to do some more due diligence up front on your lead provider's marketing practices. What are you doing to get the lead? Tell me about your marketing strategies. Tell me about the landing pages. Tell me about the traffic, the words that you're targeting. How are you doing it? Search-based, behavior-based, demographic-based. What's going on? And does that match with your customer? And then think about your perfect customer. What is it going to take? You want a multi-car homeowner, married, kids, college educated, good job, good credit. Well, now that 6 million just shrunk down to about 500,000. Number one. Number two, you call that person at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and then get frustrated that they didn't answer the phone. Call it a bad lead. Listen, if you want a lead of, the backroom stalker at Costco that makes $8 an hour and works Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 p.m. to close, so you can have a lengthy conversation with him at 10 o'clock in the morning or 1 in the afternoon about insurance, and he's going to answer on the first call, well, then expect the bad credit, the low income, the bad driving record, and the low insurance score that comes with that. You can't want premium business, want executive level and A paperwork of premium clientele, and then upset that they're working to provide the lifestyle for the family, the lifestyle that you so desperately want to protect for them, so you say. But then scratch your head that they're actually at work and you can't reach them during the day, and then you go home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon wondering why your staff isn't closing and following up, why you can't sell business. Well, because you're golfing at 2 in the afternoon. These guys are scratching their butt, playing on Facebook, watching YouTube. I can promise you they're not prospecting. Why? Because you don't even have a database worth prospecting. You need to get something in place to start bringing everything together. Bring a foundation together. What do I have first? When we talk to a client, the first thing we want to see is, what do you have currently? Where are we starting? What is the foundation? What is your sales process? What does your database look like? What are you doing to market? What are you doing to follow up? How are you staying in front of them? What does your content look like? What about your website? What is your staff makeup? What are they doing? Let's build the foundation first, but you guys are trying to build an empire with these internet leads, with all these bad decisions and lack of any sort of due diligence. You're trying to build an empire on a pile of sand. You're trying to start and build a house with a roof first. You don't even have the foundation for it. You got to get real, guys. You got to look at things and start from the beginning. Just back all the way up. Fresh start. And if you don't know how to do that, I want to invite you to help you with that. That's what our team will do. We'll grab everything together and we'll look at it. We'll assess where you're at currently, what it's going to take, and give you the real picture, give you the real story. Find out where you're at, what your goals are, what the gap is, and how to best solve that, how to best fill that gap. And it may or may not be a good fit. But I can promise you there is nobody else that's going to work harder for you to fill that gap and be real with you. I'm not in this thing to make money. Listen, if I just wanted to make money, then I would go and collect data and I would sell these age leads just like everybody else. You know, because there's a 30 million lead demand a month in this industry. It's ridiculous. And we can play that data game and recycle game, but I didn't leave the insurance industry to just go and continue to taint it. I left it to liberate agents from this ridiculous cycle, this vicious cycle that they find themselves in. That's my goal. That's why I started this business, was to help agents stop wasting money on internet leads because they simply don't work. There is a better way. With the advances in technology today, there is an enormous amount of information that you can not only gather, but use to your advantage. There are systems that can prospect your entire database on autopilot. We see corporate seeing the shift as well. They're making the adjustments. You got to look at what corporate's doing as well. So if you don't have a good understanding of where you're starting, what your goals are, be surprised how many people don't even know what the goals are, what their goal is. They haven't even taken time to set goals based on anything outside of minimum quotas. I'm so sick of hearing agents talking about their minimum quotas. What is that? That's what you got in this business for, is a minimum quota? Come on, you've got to reinvigorate yourself. You've got to figure out if this is what you want to do. You've got to get passionate about it. You've got to get real about it. You've got to get your team back involved in the game. You've got to get your team back on board. You've got to get some fire back in the game. You can't continue to wallow in this mud pit that you're in. It's not going to work. You will not sustain. There's too many shifts happening right now. And 5 years from now, if you haven't made some adjustments, you won't be here. That's just the reality of it. Click the button. Watch the next video. We're going to dive into some data, some presentations. I'm actually going to show you why I do what I do, what all the data does that supports the strategies that we implement to help you kind of get a better grasp on the direction and things that you really need to consider about how to grow your agency, what approach needs to take, what your salespeople need to do, how to follow up, what a sales cycle actually looks like based on actual data, consumer behaviors based on actual data from studies like J.D. Power, Forrester's, Facebook, ComScore, and the hundreds of other massive firms that spend millions of dollars studying the insurance industry and consumer behavior. Or if you're ready to talk now, schedule an appointment and let's have a conversation.